Hello, hello. I think I am live. Please excuse the I think I'm just dehydrated, but I look very, very old today. So this is Hormone Diaries, and we're on day 6. And if you have already caught the first 3 episodes, you may well have realised that I haven't posted for 3 days, and there's a reason for that. So before I get into it, hi Lammy, how are you doing, mate? Before I get into it, I'll just remind you all why I've started to do Hormone Diaries, and why it's relevant to you, regardless of what your age is, as a female watching this. So I'm currently in perimenopause, which is it can be up to a 10-year stretch, up towards menopause, where you completely stop having periods. So it comes to everybody who has a uterus eventually. So even if you're 13, it's important to know about this stuff, because it will hopefully give you the information you need right now to start your women's health journey in a much more positive and informed way than probably a lot of women my age have had. So I'm kind of giving you the opportunity to have the front foot over your female health. And the reason that I decided to do these diaries is because I've become really aware of elevated symptoms, which I've not been ignoring. I haven't been ignoring them, but they seem to have been ramped up just recently. And alongside of that, I'm also waiting for an assessment for ADHD. And what I'm trying to sort of figure out, by way of tracking my own cycle, tracking my moods and my feelings, and doing research, is how perimenopause affects a woman who's not neurodiverse and how it affects a woman who is. Because obviously the two things will be different in terms of how symptoms present, but also how medication may or may not benefit you. So I just thought it'd be a good way for me to channel some of the confusion and uncertainty that I've got about my own female health. Hi, Seren. In a way for me to sort of capture it, and at the same time let you follow this journey and take away what information that you feel might be useful to you. So I'm day 6. I've left out 3 days just because I didn't really have much to say. So whilst I'm day 6 of the diaries, I'm actually day 15 of my cycle. And the reason that I know that is because I track it on an app. So if you don't already track your periods on an app, I would recommend you do that. Or if you're old school and you prefer a pen and paper, then do that. But these apps are really, really intuitive, and they've got lots of things that you can track, so it's not just the amount of days that you bleed for when you're actually having your period, but all of your moods, any bloating, what your skin and your hair is like, whether you're focused, distracted, all of these things. And over time, it gives you a pattern, and it will learn from what you enter into it. So I now get notifications to kind of almost prep me. Oh, this time last month, you reported low mood around this time in your cycle. So that will kind of give me a prompt as to how to look after myself, how to look out for these things, right? So that for me has been really beneficial, and I've only really been doing it the last sort of 3 or 4 years. So if you're in your early teens, now is the time to start doing all of this stuff, because it will give you the heads up. The other reason for tracking your cycle and really connecting with what is going on with your body is that you can really advocate for yourself when it comes to, hi Kelly, you can advocate for yourself when it comes to speaking to professionals about your health. So for decades now, I've been fobbed off by doctors telling me that certain things that I've spoken to them about are just normal, when what I've discovered more recently is that those things are not normal, right? And that medication isn't always the answer. Going on the pill isn't always the answer. Yes, it can help, but these are synthetic hormone medications, which will have a detrimental effect on your overall health, albeit it's so subtle that you wouldn't even know. And I'm going to do some content around that probably in the coming months, because it's certainly something that's affected me, and I would suspect it's affecting lots of other people too. Plus, if you're just starting this journey on your cycle, it's about knowing these things so that you can have this information in your tool bank, and then when you're presented with an option, you can make an informed decision rather than just taking a professional's word for it. Because if it doesn't feel right, if what you're presented with doesn't feel right to you, don't accept it. Get a second opinion, do some research. And you can't do that if you've got no starting point. So what I'm trying to do is give you a starting point, okay? Because I want all women and girls to really feel empowered and confident. And I believe very strongly that it starts with knowing yourself, knowing how your body works, knowing how your cycles, your rhythms uniquely work for you, and how you can make that work for you in life, right? It doesn't need to be a hindrance. We've been told for centuries that being female is a negative thing, and having periods makes you weak, and all of that, and that we should just get on with it, and that we should just suck it up. Well, if men had to go through having a period every month, they would not be able to cope with it. They can barely cope with a common cold, and so as a result, we need to start taking our power back and saying, actually, I claim what's happening to my body as a powerful thing, and I'm going to use it to my advantage rather than be suckered into this notion that it's a really negative thing, and also that women should be written off after a certain age, because I don't believe that at all. So, going on to the content, if you like. So how I'm going to do this each time I post is I'll tell you what day of the diaries we're on. I'll tell you what day of my personal cycle we're on, and what phase of your menstrual cycle that fits in with, okay, so that you can get an understanding of that. What that phase means for you as a woman hormonally and symptomatically. So like what to expect when you're in your menstrual phase, which is the bit where you bleed, what to expect in your follicular phase, your luteal phase, your ovulation phase. And a lot of these terms, right, aren't commonplace. They certainly weren't when I was growing up, and right up until, probably about 15 years ago. I'm only starting to use this terminology now because it's more widely used, because women are calling for more awareness to be put on this. So knowing the terminology and knowing what it means, again, is empowerment. So I'll talk about how my symptoms are showing up for me. And you'll get it twofold. You'll get what to expect in a normal sense, right? Normal. Everybody's cycle is completely different, right? But generally speaking, what you should expect. And then what I'm experiencing in perimenopause, which will be quite different because my hormones are changing, right? So my symptoms present differently and at different times. So again, regardless of the age that you're watching this, it will be relevant, because if it's not relevant to you at your phase and stage and age, it will be relevant to another woman in your life, okay? And having that shared understanding equals a shared respect, right? And actually will help forge much more positive relationships with those women in your life because of that joint understanding. I'll also let you know what moon phase we're in, because whilst it might sound oldie worldy, our bodies work to the rhythm of the world, right? And the moon cycle definitely affects me, and as such it will affect every other female on the planet, probably every human on the planet, but specifically females in this conversation, just because I'm talking about the menstrual cycle. And then if that's something that you want to get into more, then by all means do. I've actually got a private group on Facebook where within that I do Moon Rebels new and full moon parties, where I go through like some journaling prompts to try and get you connected to the energy of that particular phase of the moon. And just getting you to ask yourselves questions about, you know, how you feel like your life is going at that point. And it helps you, it certainly helped me to focus, to make goals. I don't like using the word goals. Intentions are better, because intentions are less, what's the word? How do I explain this? Goals seem very set in stone. And if you don't reach a goal, you feel like you failed. If you set an intention like, I will be kind to myself today, right? If you don't necessarily get to the end of the day and realize that you've been actively kind to yourself, you're not going to feel so much as a failure as if you've said to yourself, I will take a long bath, do a meditation and go for a run today. Because the chances are that unless you've got the day off and you've got no distraction, you ain't going to do that. You're not going to do those 3 things, right? So by setting yourself those 3 goals, you may well feel like you're setting yourself up for failure. So I talk about intention setting instead. And it's a really nice space to be. I also draw oracle cards for you as well. So if that's of interest, drop me a message. Just drop an emoji of the moon and I'll send you details of the group. And then more importantly, to wrap the session up that I'm doing now, is I'll tell you how, you know, helpful ways to support yourself within the phase that I'm talking about within the live. All right. So let me know if any of this is like, if you're thinking, yeah, this is really helpful. If you feel called to, let me know what stage of your cycle you're at, like just put the day, how many days into your cycle you are, and I will tell you about my day. So I'm looking really tired at the moment. I have been experiencing more headaches recently. So I'm day 15 of my cycle, which is it's actually not, it's the ovulatory phase, right? So this is a 4-day period, usually between days 14 and 18, where women ovulate, right? That means that the egg is being released out of your ovary and it's starting to travel down the fallopian tube. So you are at your most fertile. And if you were trying to get pregnant, this would be a good time to get pregnant, because you're your most fertile and you're more likely to get pregnant. In terms of how that looks in a normal cycle, so i.e. someone that's not perimenopausal, this is a key time for you to, where your communication is heightened, like your social butterfly. This is a great time to go out, to socialize, to, if you've got like a presentation at work to do, these days in your cycle are like optimum. You are likely to really get across the point that you need to make really well. You'll string sentence together better. You know, you'll be your most magnetic. And I explained in the last live that our cycle is split into 4 phases, which correlate to the external seasons, right? So we have internal seasons, and ovulation is like summer. So imagine what you feel like during the summer. Imagine how much brighter and lighter things feel, how much more optimistic and joyful, generally speaking, we feel. That is how you'll feel internally too during ovulation. You may get ovulation pain, right? So it feels like you'll get like a little cramp feeling in either left or right side of your pelvis, and that's basically where the egg is moving. It should only last a couple of days and it shouldn't be painful. It's just, you know, that it's happening. So really, really good time. And this is why knowing your cycle is key to optimizing your life in general. Because if you, like I say, if you're in a job where you're having to communicate with people on a regular basis, or be front facing, or you're online and or you're delivering courses and stuff like that, knowing that these days are prime for that kind of interaction means that if you have got the flexibility to book these things into those days, like recording content or I don't know, writing a letter or an email, they're going to go down a lot better on those days. Okay. For me, talking now about perimenopause, so I've been getting headaches, more prominent ones. I'm prone to migraine as well. And all the classic summery feelings that I should be getting right about now, I'm not at all. I actually feel quite low today. My mood is pretty low. I feel drained all the time, and that is a key symptom of perimenopause. It's just that, lack of energy and motivation. And that's because my hormones are different, right? So usually during ovulation, your hormones are at their peak, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, they're all at their peak, right? And because I'm perimenopausal, mine are on the decline. So I've got less of those peppy hormones to deal with. I've actually got less. And what that does is it kind of confuses the brain, doesn't it? It will confuse the brain into what messages it's getting from these hormones and what then the body needs to do to respond to it, because hormones are messengers, and we all have hormones for every single function in the body. It's not just reproductive health. It is every single function of the body relies on hormonal messaging, right? So hormones are not just for women. Hormones are existent in men too. Yeah, they're just utilized differently. Okay, and there's different levels of them. So where I'm supposed to feel all peppy and sociable, and I'm instead feeling really meh. Like I don't even want to think about anything. I spent all day yesterday watching Big Bang Theory because that's like my comfort program. Just makes me feel like I'm wrapped in a blanket. It's quite nice. So if you're perimenopausal and you're experiencing these same sort of symptoms around this time of your cycle, then it is, and you don't know, you might not even know you're perimenopausal, but if you're suffering these symptoms that you would normally experience, say, in the period before you start your period, like sort of the time before you bleed, or the few days just after you finish bleeding, because that's often when I also feel a bit low. If you're feeling the symptoms I've got outside of those times, then it's possible that you are now starting to have, there's some sort of change present. I'm not saying it is definitely perimenopause because hormones are quite complex, but it's definitely a sign. Your body is telling you, it's communicating with you that you need to take notice. And if it means, right, I'm going to monitor this over the next couple of months, or if you have many symptoms that just have occurred and are making you feel really crap, go and see someone about it. Just don't take it as, oh yeah, that's just what happens to everybody and we've just got to put up with it. No, there are so many different ways that you can support yourself. So for me, I've tried not to overdo it. I felt really guilty yesterday because I had planned to do, in fact, I had a course booked and I had to defer it because I was feeling really crap. And then I felt really, really disappointed with myself because Yella was with her dad. And then I was like, right, well, I've literally done nothing. Right. And usually I welcome the time to be alone so I can tidy the house without distraction, go to the gym, all of those things. And I just didn't have it in me to do any of it. So then I was dealing with that guilt of not being productive. But instead, what I'm doing today is I'm doing little bits of work when I've got that buzz and taking a break when I need to take a break. I'm going to get an early night as best I can. I'm going to try and support my internal health with decent food, not drinking too much caffeine, drinking water. As you can see, my skin's really dehydrated today. Have a nice bath or a shower, whatever's going to feel better for me. I did a nice meditation this morning, started off with some seated stretching, just to kind of move that tension around. And exercise is a really good form of healing, right? It will move any negative energy around, it will move it away. And so even if you haven't got it in you to go for a run or go to the gym or anything too massively active, just stretching is actually really powerful because it allows you to move your body at your own pace, B, identify areas in your body that perhaps need a bit of attention. Maybe you've got some real tense muscles in your neck, or maybe your back doesn't feel very strong, or maybe your breathing's a bit off, you know, maybe you're breathing from up here rather than belly, like deep belly breath. So it gets you to connect with your body in that way. And also it gets you to kind of shut off from your brain because, hi Leah, because you're having to focus on moving your body and identifying what's going on with your body. So it's a really nice way to detach and really focus in on yourself. So I did that this morning. Again, there are loads of apps for that. You can, you know, there's yoga apps, there's meditation apps. There's also EFT, so emotional freedom technique. EFT, so tapping in certain places. And what that does is it helps to basically reconfigure the brain. So instead of thinking one way, you train it to think a different way. It's really, really easy, really effective. It's free. Google it if you want. YouTube it. But yeah, there's plenty of ways to support yourself. But don't do what you think you should do. Do what you feel is right for you. Okay? So don't feel like you have to go out if you don't want to go out. Don't feel like you have to eat certain things if you don't want to eat them. Just, you know, do you. So that is my day 15 and day 6 of Hormone Diaries. I would love to get your feedback. I've shared a couple of posts on topics that have been relevant to the diary posts that I've already done, the diary lives that I've already done. So check those out on my feed. And that's what I intend to do. So I intend to like do a live and then within a couple of days do a post based on that live. Maybe the central topic, maybe the topic that has come through strongly for me, or perhaps a topic that has got the most engagement or questions. I will do a post around that so that you're getting the information that you actually want. But I would love to know if this has been helpful. And yeah, I'll see you again. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. I don't know, but definitely go check out those posts. And if you want in on the Moon Rebels journaling session, drop me the emoji of a moon. It doesn't matter which moon, just a moon is fine, and I'll send you an invite. It's private group, so it's only women in there. And I'm hoping to do some in-person ones, like on a beach locally. I haven't yet got around to doing that yet. So watch this space. Have a lovely evening and enjoy the rest of your week. Lots of love. And thanks, ladies, for watching. You are legends. Bye.